morning sun shines on the gleaming hide of a muscular ranch horse. The aroma of bacon and coffee drifts from the wood cook stove at a cow camp. Silver spurs jingle as the men and women of the West get set for another day in the saddle. From the heart of Canada's finest ranching country, this is the Spirit of the West with rancher and horse trainer Hugh McLennan and his collection of music, poetry, and conversations with the folks who live and work with horses and cattle in the Spirit of the West.
It was a cowboy's dream for me, riding a great horse under the big Alberta sky, watching some absolute top hands start a group of very challenging colts at the 41st Annual Ivan Daines Country Music Picnic and Daines Open Trainers Challenge at the Daines Rodeo Ranch. And then being on stage in front of a great big friendly crowd Friday night with the Western Spirit Band. They even asked us for an encore. And we did Travelin' Light. The colt starting was amazing, and today I'll share a visit with the guy who won it all after getting bucked off in the round pen, and another fine trainer that was there, Tommy DeRoche, who remembers some of his adventures riding on a big community pasture.
And you go dally up on them, and you go for some interesting rides real quick. And sometimes, you got to thank that old cow for keeping your horse up.
Baxter Black has a great story about how the terms we use as we get older sometimes aren't quite accurate.
Cowboys have a way of turning a birthday cake into a 4-alarm fire.
And it sure happened on this story. Well, the Rangeland News looks at a lot of things, including how the dry summer and the wildfires might have an effect on fall calf prices.
Pasture and rangeland conditions at least 2/3 very poor to poor.
A good cowboy poem and a great classic song of the West in the story behind the song. I'll visit with a couple of top hands after we open up with a track from Gene and Gary Prescott's great new CD.
He always rode good horses from my memory as a kid. I wanted all of mine to work the way he's always did. But my youthful lack of patience so often got me through. That same old lack of patience in my horses plainly show. So I sat down at the drawing board he had built throughout the years. His words, though not abrasive, only reinforced my fears. Trust ain't freely given, it's elusive, slowly earned. A man's the mirror image of the things his horses learn. Gentle hands make a good mount, not fear nor fight nor dread. Good men ride good horses, that's all that need be said. With trust, respect soon follows like a wobbly-legged foal. They're both real important if good manners is your goal. His choice of words cut fast and deep just like a surgeon's knife, yet changed my perspective and rearranged my life. Do what's right while you're still living, makes no difference when you're dead. Good men ride good horses, and that's all that need be said. Trust ain't freely given, it's elusive, slowly earned. A man's the mirror image of the things his horses learn. Gentle hands make a good mount, not fear nor fight nor dread. Good men ride good horses, that's all that need be said. From disrespect, he's trying hard to say, let me spur you in the shoulder and see how long that you will stay. But given half a chance, he'll rise up to the task and die 1,000 mournful deaths just doing what you ask. So ask yourself this question of this noble gallant steed: would you do the very same for him if asked a fearful deed? Trust ain't freely given, it's elusive, slowly earned. A man's the mirror image of the things his horses learn. Gentle hands make a good mount, not fear nor fight nor dread. Good men ride good horses, that's all that need be said. At his service just this morning, a tear fell as they read. He always rode good horses, that's all that need be said.
Well, as I said, I sure enjoyed the format at the Danes Ranch Open Trainers Challenge at the 41st Annual Ivan Danes Picnic. On the first day, each trainer got to start 2 colts and then pick the one they wanted to continue with, and after 3 more round pen sessions and a spectacular final, the winner was Denver Danes, the son of the legend Ivan himself. And I had a chance to visit with Denver and Tommy DeRocher.
Hey, Denver, congratulations on winning the Danes Open Ranch colt starting competition. That was a couple of pretty interesting colts you had to pick from there.
Yeah, it was. I didn't really know what to expect when, we got 2 horses to choose from. So I didn't. The first one bucked, and I stayed on, and I thought I was going to get bucked off, but I stuck on and picked the second one, and that horse was even ranker than the first one, and I didn't know what to expect there either, and he dusted me, so I decided to keep the first one, the Palomino. So yeah, it worked out good.
He really came along, though, and I've always thought, and Tommy, you probably some thoughts on this too. It's really interesting when a guy who kind of grew up riding bucking horses and isn't really intimidated if they're going to bog their head and go to bucking, but some people might assume that that's all there is to starting colts. But as you were saying the other day, there's a lot more to it than that.
Oh yeah, it's like as a trainer and a bronc rider, I don't want them to buck. Yeah. But that's just sometimes what they do. They buck, and us as trainers, we got to figure a way to either ride them through it or get them out of it. So you're always making a risk doing something like that. So it's just part of the job, and it's it's just we're just trying to keep the heritage alive.
Yeah, and it's so nice to see. Tommy, that was you had 2 to pick from too, and the one that you had the second time around, the little half Arab quarter horse, pretty nice little horse seemed to be. You had him going fairly well, but then you decided to go with the other one.
Yeah, I had 2, and I had the black one first, and I had the Arabian second. But judging the 2 and working with the 2, their cross, their Arabian quarter horse cross just didn't have no finish to him. Mm-hmm. You can tell the way he was moving; he gave up on you right away, and we needed a horse, and that's why I chose the black. But I kind of misread the black. I didn't know he had that much power and energy. But it wasn't so much power. It was just he was so sensitive, and it was like sitting on dynamite.
Oh yeah.
And but it was really good for me too, because it made me think. Right?
Yeah.
Did I make the right choice? But at the end, Denver and I were talking. I made the right choice because I still had a horse at the end.
Yes.
Oh yeah, very much so.
But you couldn't push something like that. Denver and I were talking, and Denver was saying to the boy, I'd have got on him. He said he'd have tested me. He would have tested anybody at any time.
Oh yeah, you could tell when you were on him, and I was had you kind of snubbed up there, and when you swung your right leg over, that right side was just quivering. Like he was just.
Because remember we were sitting there, and he was all humped up and shaking. Well. Because when we first moved and your rope touched him?
Yeah.
And it just grazed his shoulder.
He just swung right out. Yeah. In fact, you did a good job staying on. And say I did a good job hanging on to him.
You did a great job. You didn't let me go.
No. I was hoping I wouldn't. Well, I would have caught you.
I know you would have, and that's why I asked you to hold the horse for me, right? To work with 2 legends like you and Dave, Denver. It's a great honor to be in that arena.
Yeah, you deserve to be there too.
Well, it's...
Well, Denver and Tommy will share a few of their cowboying adventures, and of course there's another great song about cowboy life when the Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. Well, the big trophy buckle had been presented to Denver Danes, and that was kind of neat because it happened at the 41st Annual Ivan Danes Country Music Picnic and Open Trainers Challenge, hosted by Denver's dad, Ivan. And yeah, the legendary bronc rider was pretty proud. I had a chance to visit with Denver and the fine trainer Tommy DeRocher, who also did a good job after the event, and we got to talking about some of the aspects of a working cowboy's day.
Denver, looked to me like you've done a fair bit of actual cowboying ranch work and that kind of stuff?
I mean, I haven't full on, like, there's them guys that are cowboys and ranchy cowboys out there, you know, in the down south and that have them huge ranches and that. But I grew up riding horses all the time, not full-time ranching, but I was always had a rope in my hand, you know, and I got cows now, so I doctor and do all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so it just comes with the territory, but you know, I enjoyed doing it and I kept on it, and I guess that's probably why I keep doing it today, because it's just part of my life, right? So.
Yeah, well, I can tell that, you know, you just seem so at home in that situation. You pulled your rope down there and throwing a backhand loop and a forehand and everything. Yeah, this guy's handled a rope before a few times.
Yeah, I've roped a bit in my day. I mean, I don't claim to be a great roper, and I team roped a bit in high school rodeo, and I was not great, but I've done a lot of ranch roping, and when there's time to catch a calf and you have a very short, limited amount of time, sometimes you get pretty good at catching them. So I'm not saying I'm always great on, but usually I can get pretty good after a while, you know. Just depends on, you know, how many sick calves you got a doctor. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You like to use about a 30-footer or?
I like to use a ranch rope, because
right?
Yeah, just because you have that extra feet, right?
Yeah.
You're usually about a 60-foot rope. So,
oh man.
Yeah. So it's nice to have that length, because if something gets away on you, you have that length to,
that's for sure.
to keep them on, you know.
They get to the end of that 30 feet pretty quick.
Yeah, and there's a lot of other things you can do with a branch rope other than rope cattle. You can do anything with it. I mean, you know, sometimes you need to get your horse out of a bog or pull or do anything. Get your truck unstuck or something.
You never got your truck stuck, did you?
Well, no, I didn't, but there's always a use for a rope, I'm telling you.
Oh, for sure. Tommy, all your days on the community pasture, there must be a few roping wrecks and memories and different situations you can remember that led to some good storytelling.
Oh man, there was so many that I learned from, and a lot of the things that I probably would never want to teach.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, but those things, you know, especially in the bush pasture we're in, right? And Denver and I, he was just talking about working cattle. I've done that for 22 years. And the bush pasture, I use a 30-foot rope because, you know, you ain't got much room, but your first swing better count. And and a lot of times I made the crazy mistake. You know, when you're in the position doctoring cattle, sometimes you forget what you're riding. You know, unfortunately, a day or two you'll be riding a colt and you forgot about it, and you go dally up on them, and you go for some interesting rides real quick. And sometimes, you know, you got to thank that old cow for keeping your horse up.
That's for sure.
And next, both of these good cowboys will face the question, did you ever have to let your rope go once you got it on a cow, and what happened next? Right after a song from Richard Aloya.
There's a little bit of restless in the mirror today. Not as many lines and wrinkles, few less miles upon my face. Well, the pains and aches, cuts and scrapes feel like they've never been. I get better from the ground up when it's roundup time again. Shorter days and longer shadows, they call me from the door. Ride 'em harder, push 'em farther than we've ever done before. Oh, the sky looks so much bigger, and the stars shine twice as clear. Life is better from the ground up when it's roundup time of year. Tell Bill to saddle Tommy, and I'll take old Jake. They're chomping at the bit, boys, they're pushing on the gate. They can't wait to be where the aspen trees sweep down to the winter range. We get wound up when it's roundup, some things don't seem to change. Got my rifle and my bedroll and an old black coffee pot. Got a whole week's worth of groceries in the back of the pickup truck. And maybe a little whiskey to keep the chilly winds at bay. I wait all year, it's finally here. Roundup starts today. Justin's got the gooseneck, he's headed up the road. We'll camp tonight on Buckeye Creek, where the water's clear and cold. We can't wait to be where the aspen trees sweep down to the winter range. We get wound up when it's roundup, some things don't seem to change. We get wound up when it's roundup, some things don't need to change.
Yeah, fine Nevada singer and songwriter Richard Aloyan, and while I was visiting with Denver and Tommy, I just had to ask this vital question.
You ever have to let your rope go with the cow?
Oh, a lot of times. You know, I can tell you how many ropes I got out there in the bush I'll probably never find, including hats. And,
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah, we had some, but I guess Denver was saying it's an interesting life and learning, working cattle, working horses. You know, we'll probably never quit learning anyway, but, you know, we do our best out there. We learn your veterinarian skills real quick because, you know, you don't got time to call a vet when you're out there, so you learn all this stuff real quick. And yes, I had a lot of wrecks out there, but I learned from them.
You do, yeah. Every one, you think to yourself, I don't think I'm going to try that again, you know, time after time.
It didn't work the first time, so don't do it again.
Yeah. What do you got for horses of your own now, Denver?
You know, I have client horses that I ride, and I have a good horse at home that if I need to go doctor, do something, you know, I always got them around there at home to have a secure horse to go out and catch a cow or do anything I need to do on them, you know. But they kind of get neglected because these colts take priority over my riding. So my good horses got a belly full of grass right now. They should probably be ridden every day. They're doing quite well on the grass pasture. So
isn't that the way though? You know, when you got clients' horses, they're the top priority.
Yeah.
And yours are the last ones.
Yeah, mine are the last ones, and
get the work they need.
Yeah, and it just at the end of the day, you should probably ride them, but you're like, oh, I'm riding colts all day. I just need to take a break. So. But it's nice to have a good horse you can rely on because, as you know, having a good horse and you can rely on and go do anything, it just makes your job so much easier.
Yep, they're worth their weight in gold.
You know, people don't realize how long it takes to make a good horse.
That's for sure.
You know
they think, oh man, 60 days or a 30-day wonder and he'll be good. Well, it takes years.
I know Tommy can relate to this too. We can put 30, 60, 90 days on a colt and make them really nice, but you turn them out for a month and they can be right back to square one, you know, so... It doesn't take months, it takes years to make a good horse, you know?
Does.
So that's just where I come from, and I don't stop learning is the thing with riding colts and horses. You just never quit learning, and you learn from other people, and you learn from your own mistakes, and, you know, it's just a constant learning for me.
It really is. I was just saying to Tommy the other day, the longer we're involved with this stuff, the more we realize how much more there is to know than what we know, you know?
And the fact that, you know, I feel sad that the Western culture is kind of fading. You know, I wish I was kind of born like 100 years ago.
Me too.
Where, you know, we had to ride horses and it was all out in the West, and you know, it would have been such a cool era to be in. And you know, I just like the...
You can take the call if you want.
No, I'm good.
Somebody else got a colt for you to start tomorrow.
Yeah. They're here in the interview, but no. Yeah,
right, we're live, all right.
Yeah, we're live. We got a satellite.
Yeah.
But no, it's just, you just appreciate, you know, being able to live this kind of lifestyle. Because people who live in the city and all that stuff, they don't get the experience and they've never done it, so it's just something different. So when you live on a farm or a ranch or whatever, you got to appreciate where you come from.
So well said, Denver. And Baxter Black has a story that would really be funny if it didn't hit so close to home. And then it's the news of the rangeland when the Spirit of the West continues right after this.
Howdy, friends. This is Baxter Black on Spirit of the West with Hugh McLennan with a little peek at picking up Gene. If your group or association is planning a meeting and are on a thrifty budget, check out Virtual Video Baxter. That's me. I'll video a personalized welcome, then furnish several humorous stories to run between your speakers. Signbooks can be used as auction items. We've done rodeos, museums, bowl sales, the Conservation Service. Use your imagination. Virtual Video Baxter. Give us a call, 800-654-2550 at baxterblack.com. Cowboys have a way of turning a birthday cake into a 4-alarm fire. I was planning to spend the weekend with kinfolks in Oklahoma. Included to be lots of fried chicken, peach cobbler, visiting, and music. Over the phone, I mentioned to my friend Gene what was going on, and he asked if we needed another guitar player. I said, like Queen Elizabeth needs another hat. He said, I'll be there. Well, the big weekend arrived. Gene was driving up from Texas, about a 5-hour trip, but by mid-afternoon I was getting a little worried. Not because he was a cowboy or because he couldn't find Oklahoma, but he was 80 years old. Well, at 3 o'clock he called the house. "Bax," he shouted, "I've been here for an hour and a half trying to find Noble. I've been up and down Highway 9, been nearly to Oklahoma City, even followed a feller who said follow him till he turns. I ended up at the OU football field. Come and get me." "Where are you?" I asked. "I'm at the corner of Highway 9 and I-35. I can see the freeway. I'm parked at the Roadrunner." "Wait right there," I said. I jumped in the car and drove the 5 miles to where Highway 9 meets I-35. I drove the parking lot looking for Texas plates, interrogated the gas station guy, but he'd never heard of the Red Rooster. And then I got on the freeway and went south a mile where Highway 9 West comes in, but no Gene. I drove back to my aunt's house and waited for Gene to call. At 4:30, I finally called my cousin Lanny. He'd never heard of the Red Rooster either. "Maybe he meant the Red Lobster," suggested Lanny. "There's one a mile north of Highway 9. Well, off we went. The folks at the Red Lobster had not seen a 6'4", 80-year-old cowboy from Texas, nor had they heard of the Red Rooster. We backtracked everywhere I'd been, but no luck. Well, it was 5:15 when he finally called from the Total gas station in Noble. We drove to the Total, and there stood my friend. After some mutual relief, I said, "Gene, where were you? We never could find the Red Rooster." "Red Rooster? No, it was a Roadrunner, convenience store." Lanny interrupted. "Roadrunner? We don't have Roadrunners in Oklahoma." "Well, that's what they are in Texas. But now that you mention it, I think this one was called Love." This is Baxter Black on Spirit of the West with Hugh McLennan. Thanks for listening.
In our many travels over the years, Billy and I have stayed at a lot of hotels, and one of our very favorites is the Sheraton in Red Deer. So many times for the main event, the Ivan Danes Country Music Picnic, and other occasions, it's been like a second home to us. There's no better place to have a conference, convention, meeting, wedding, or a family reunion. They have 3 great restaurants, and they really make you feel at home. And oh, those beds and pillows are so comfortable. We highly recommend it. You can call them toll-free 1-800-662-7197 from wherever you are. We had a wonderful stay at the Sheraton in Red Deer. Stayed there the entire time for the Ivan Danes Country Music Picnic, right up until the Stony Plain Cowboy Gathering, and Gil and the crew just made us feel so at home. Thanks again for that. Now, just ahead of the rangeland news, you know the women of the West are special. They can ride and rope and doctor calves, put on a great meal, and keep the finances straight and so much more. And they look so good doing it, especially when they're wearing a good cowboy hat. Here's Brett Kissel.
I like a girl raised on a farm, dusty old boots and Daisy Duke charm, in a beat-up truck or riding bareback. I love a girl in a cowboy hat. She can be a supermodel, tall and blonde, knockout smile and legs real long. But I'd be in heaven if she liked the man in black, and I love a girl in a cowboy hat. I don't she's dressed to kill if she can still saddle up wearing high heels.
news of the rangeland, a roundup of news and coming events from around the West.
At the top of page 1, it's been a tough year for many ranchers across the West so far, and pasture and range conditions are a long ways from ideal. Here's USDA reporter Stephanie Ho with some details.
USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey says the core drought area in the country is in the northern plains.
All three of the northern plains states, the Dakotas and Montana, are showing pasture and rangeland conditions at least two-thirds very poor to poor.
Top of the list is North Dakota at 78% very poor to poor, followed by Montana at 68% and South Dakota at 67%.
On the flip side, we continue to see some very good pasture and rangeland conditions, especially east of the Mississippi River, and in fact several states, including Alabama and Florida, still at least 80% good to excellent on the U.S. pasture and rangeland ratings.
And for the nation as a whole,
the percentage good to excellent has dipped to 44%. That's down a point from last week, and the August 6th rating for very poor to poor conditions is now up to almost 1/4 of the country.
This is Stephanie Ho for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
Looking ahead to winter now. According to a weather expert, there were no active El Nino or La Nina patterns, and neutral conditions are expected in the northern hemisphere through the winter of 2017 and 18. However, the chances of neutral conditions were likely to fall from about 85% to 55% between December and February, according to the Weather Service's Climate Prediction Center. The last El Nino, a warming of ocean surface temperatures in the eastern and central Pacific that typically occurs every few years, was linked to crop damage, fires, and flash floods in 2016. And last month, the forecaster said neutral conditions were likely in the northern hemisphere into the coming winter. According to the New York State Gaming Commission records, 12 horses have died after racing or training incidents since the 2017 Saratoga meet opened in July. The latest incident occurred in late August when the 5-year-old filly Sweet Anida was euthanized after sustaining a sesamoid bone fracture during a race, and that death still remains under investigation. The investigations into each horse death involve a full necropsy and an equine safety review board of every aspect of the race, and the Delaware State's Veterinarian's Office reported August 15th it's confirmed that the state's first case of West Nile virus happened in a horse in 2017. The affected horse, an 11-year-old quarter horse mare, began showing signs of weakness on all 4 limbs, and the mare lost the ability to stand and was euthanized in late August. Samples were submitted to the Delaware Public Health Laboratory, which confirmed the diagnosis of West Nile virus. The affected mare was not vaccinated against the virus. And back on August the 10th, the Washington State Department of Agriculture announced that a 10-year-old quarter horse residing in the town of 4 Lakes in Spokane County is the first horse in that state to be confirmed positive for West Nile virus. The horse also was unvaccinated and recordedly had coordination problems in the hind legs and muscle tremors, but it is improving. The Montana Cowboy Hall of Fame and Western Heritage Center has announced the 10th class of inductions into the Montana Cowboy Hall of Fame. The inductees were chosen from a field of candidates nominated by the general public, and inductees are honored for their notable contribution to the history and culture of Montana. And these inductees will be honored during the annual Circle of Wagons gathering, February 2nd to 3rd, 2018 in Great Falls at the Best Western Heritage Inn, and more information will come later this year. Coming up at the BC Livestock Co-op, September the 19th, Williams Lake Sale, September the 21st, Sale in Vanderhoof, September 22nd, Kamloops Calf and Yearling Sale, Tuesday, September 26th. You can get more information from bclivestock.bc.ca or call the co-op at 250-573-3939. And the Innisfail auction market has regular cattle sales every Wednesday, 2 horse sales a month, and lots of special fall sales coming up. You can call ahead and book your cattle at 1-800-710-3166. And that takes us down to the final item. And only horse people will get this. But, well, our great bass player Uncle Mike got it. If you're familiar with Facebook, as more and more folks seem to be getting, you've probably seen the comment that something like, well, that was neat, thanks for posting. And I just couldn't resist. I had to say, I appreciate the comment, thanks for posting. Most of the time, on most horses, I do find it easier than sitting the trot. And that's the Rangeland News. Coming up on the Urban Saddles and Western Wear Horse Training File, a listener wants to know what I mean when I talk about riding a horse in the two-rein. And there's more from Denver Danes and Tommy DeRoche, and more great music when the Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. Coming up on the Urban Saddles and Western Wear Horse Training File, someone wants to know what I mean when I say I'll be riding this horse in the two-rein. First, though, one of the premier cowboy singers of today's West with a genuine working cowboy background, R.W. Hampton.
It's quiet this evening on the old Canadian as I ride out alone. I'm lonely but free, just my pony and me, and the river is singing a song. Got plenty of rain, the grass is growing tall, the river is rolling along. The cattle are fat, the calves looking good, just a laying round waiting for fall. As I ride out on the point of a mesa, I survey all the beauty below. An eagle screams down to his friends on the ground, it's time to be bedding down. That old setting sun paints its colors on the mesas and on the river canyon walls. From somewhere far away, the coyote calls its mate. It's time to be heading home. The moon's a shining bright on the old Canadian as I jog down the canyon for home. I'm lonely but free, just my pony and me, a cowboy at peace with the world. I'm a cowboy at peace with the world.
Now it's time for the Horse Training File, brought to you by Irvine Tack and Western Wear, Canada's largest Western store.
Back to school means back to Urban Tack and Western Wear. Saddle up for 70,000 square feet of selection, something for everyone. Like I always say, it's Western Wear with a welcome twist. Jeans, boots, shirts, outerwear, and accessories. Latest styles and top names like Wrangler, Cinch, and Under Armour, with sweet deals to help you balance that back-to-school budget. So this fall, stand out and suit up with Urban Tack and Western Wear. Off exit 305 on Highway 2 by Crossfield, open 7 days a week. I've had a few folks ask me what I mean by riding in the two-rein. And do you ride with one hand or two when you're doing that? Well, I'll try and explain how it works for me. My good mare Cody works okay in a two-rein in some situations. Basically, it's a fairly thin boselle underneath a Spanish-style shank bit. And I like the bit that has a cricket roller on the mouthpiece, so I have two reins attached to the heel knot of the little boselle or bosalito or underbridle, and my reins and romao with rein chains attached to the shanks of the bit. Now, I like to run the reins from the bosalito through this way. the right rein through the top of my left hand with my thumb underneath, and the left rein through the heel of my right hand and out between my thumb and index finger. And that way I have some individual control over each side of the horse with one hand. I'll use the reins and romal in the classic position, coming up through the heel of my left hand, out between my thumb and index finger, and I'll have the romal about 16 inches apart in my right hand. Now, I can revert to a two-hand approach with the Bosalito reins if I need to disengage the hindquarters. But if the horse is ready for the two-rein, that really shouldn't happen unless it's a real panic situation. Now, most of the time, I'll ride the same way I would if the horse was straight up in the bridle without the second set of reins. In this classic vaquero style, the reins and bit are used only as a subtle suggestion or a preparation cue, and about 90% of the directions comes from the rider's legs, seat, and position in the saddle. Hope that explains it. And for Irvin Saddles and Western Wear, that's the horse training file. Something else that needs no explaining is how well our horses do on that daily feeding of Hoffman's Horse Ration. Find out more at hoffmanshorseration.com. In our many travels over the years, Billy and I have stayed at a lot of hotels, and one of our very favorites is the Sheraton in Red Deer. So many times for the main event, the Ivan Daines Country Music Picnic, and other occasions, it's been like a second home to us. There's no better place to have a conference, convention, meeting, wedding, or a family reunion. They have 3 great restaurants, and they really make you feel at home. And oh, those beds and pillows are so comfortable. We highly recommend it. You can call them toll-free 1-800-662-7197 from wherever you are. Well, my little brother Jim plays lead guitar on Tom Cole's latest CD called Chronicles, and Tom does a fine job on this one, written by Ed Bruce.
This is the last cowboy song, the end of 100-year waltz. The voices are sad as they're singing along. Another piece of America's lost. He rides the feedlots and clerks at the market on weekends, selling tobacco and beer. His dreams of tomorrow are surrounded by fences, but he'll dream tonight of when fences weren't here. He blazed a trail with Lewis and Clark, eyeball to eyeball, old Wyatt back down. He stood shoulder to shoulder with Travis in Texas, and rode with the 7th when Custer went down. This is the last cowboy song, the end of 100-year waltz. The voices are sad as they're singing along. Another piece of America's lost. Remington showed us how he looked on canvas. Louis L'Amour, he has told us his tale. Waylon and Willie and me sing about him and wish hard that we could have ridden his trail. Now the old Chisholm Trail, it's covered in concrete. They haul them to market in 50-foot rigs. They roll past his marker, never slow wind to read it, like living and dying was already dead. This is the last cowboy song, the end of 100-year waltz. The voices are sad as they're singing along. Another piece of America's lost. This is the last cowboy song, the end of 100-year waltz. The voices are sad as they're singing along. Another piece of America's lost.
Beautiful song, but I sure hope it's not prophetic. Well, one more time, let's go back to the 41st annual Ivan Daines Country Music Picnic and the conversation with the Daines Ranch Open Trainers Challenge winner Denver Daines and fine horseman Tommy DeRoche.
What do you got for horses your own, Tommy, besides all your client horses?
Right now, we got about 15 at home. We got some upcoming colts that I'm going to work with in the future. But like Denver said early on, and I 100% agree with him, I got my 2 saddle horses out there. Kelly, my good wife, she's got 2 good horses out there. We haven't rode in 2 years.
Oh, man.
Because we're riding somebody else's horses, right? It's like a mechanic. Fix everybody else's car, ship yours.
That's right.
And, we should, maybe take a break and start putting our horses a little bit back to work. And because, you know what, they're the key to our success, right? And when we need them, they should be there. And I'm 100% sure that they're going to be there when we need them anyway.
Yeah.
And like Denver said, you can put 69 days on a client's horse. But you know what? That's all you could do. Yeah. And the rest is up to them, right?
For sure. And sometimes that's so disappointing when you see that horse 6 months later that you think, boy, has great potential. And the owner might have had him for 6 months, and it can be so disappointing sometimes.
Sometimes they go backwards.
They go backwards,
And that's an unfortunate thing. Is you spend so much time, and it's not so much that we enjoy making the money. We like seeing the progress that we get out of our horses, and when you see that progress, it's so rewarding.
Oh, that's for sure.
And that's the fun part about training colts. Yeah. You don't always get good ones, but when you do get the good ones, you appreciate it because they come along so nice and easy, and you sure appreciate when you do get a good colt.
How about your music, Denver? You've been doing a lot of performing over the years.
Yeah, I've been playing for quite a few years now. This year I didn't play or travel so much. I bought a place, so I've been busy at home. Have an acreage, so there's always something to do there, and so I've been mostly training horses, and I haven't quit playing the guitar. I'm still writing songs and stuff.
So that's something else that you got to stay with, eh? Or you kind of lose it.
Yeah, you just got to keep with it, and sometimes it's hard, but it's the same thing. Guitar is a passion of mine and something that I love to do, and it's soul easing for me, and I enjoy just, I kind of had an interview with Mike Bealey on stage there telling me how I write songs, and I just said, well, it's the lifestyle I've lived, training horses and rodeoing, and it gives you so much to write about. So I will never regret, living the way that I have lived, for sure.
For sure. Yeah, we are so fortunate, really, when we stop and think about it. Well, thank you, Tommy and Denver, doing this on the Spirit of the West, and I hope we'll see you down the trail again somewhere pretty soon.
Yeah.
It's been a great honor being here with you.
Yeah, and thanks for coming out and doing it, Hugh. You always do a great job, and we love your show. Everybody loves your show, and even out here, you've got such a genuine, unique voice, and you're such a good, honest, good-hearted man. So
Wait, I want to get my wife over so she can hear some of this.
Yeah.
Well, I'll play it back for her.
But yeah, no, it's always great having you out here, and everyone loves your show. So
You guys are just too kind. Well, coming up, it's another classic song of the West and the story behind the song, and then the Cowboy Poetry Spotlight when the Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. For this week's classic Song of the West, we'll take you back to 1937 when the song, written by Bob Nolan, first appeared in a Charles Starrett Western movie called Outlaws of the Prairie. And this is pretty special. Here's the voice of the legendary Stuart Hamblin asking Bob Nolan, who of course was one of the 3 founding members of the Sons of the Pioneers, about the song.
You know, Bob, I've always admired one of your great songs, but I have to confess I don't understand the exact meaning of the lyrics, and that's a song called The Song of the Bandit. You know, it's a great song, but I need you to interpret the meaning behind the words. How about letting us all in on what you had in mind when you composed that song?
Well, did you ever read the poem The Highwayman?
Yeah, I remember
that's exactly where I got the idea for it, and I tried to stay as close to the context of that poem as I could. And if you'll read the 2 poems together, you'll see that the whole...
Oh, I remember that Highwayman, but I'll tell you something. I believe you beat that old boy that wrote that.
Oh, dear me.
And the song has been recorded by dozens of artists, including Marty Robbins, but here's one of the best from the Sons of the San Joaquin.
He brings a token to his love. Swift as the wind he goes, high in the hills he knows she's waiting, singing Healy-Oli-Yip-I-Oli-Yay. Long, long ago in old Wyoming lived a maid, fair as the sweetest flower blooming in the glade. She loved a bandit bold who roamed the prairie o'er, and every night she'd listen for his call. Then far to the west his voice come ringing, riding a wild horse he can sing, and Healy-Oli-Yip-I-Oli-Yay. Healy-Oli-Yip-I-Oli-Yip-I-Oli-Yay. He brings a token to his love. Swift as the wind he goes, high in the hills he knows she's waiting, singing Healy-Oli-Yip-I-Oli-Yay. Healy-Oli-Yip-I-Oli-Yay. One day he rode away, but never to return. Danger was waiting now, his love must ever yearn. Long days and lonely nights she waited all in vain, till winter passed and summer came again. Still every night when the moon comes shining, for his song her heart was pining, Healy-Oli-Yip-I-Oli-Yay. Healy-Oli-Yip-I-Oli-Yip-I-Oli-Yay. He brings a token to his love. Swift as the wind he goes, high in the hills he knows she's waiting, singing Healy-Oli-Yip-I-Oli-Yay. Healy-Oli-Yip-I-Oli-Yay. One night an angel brought a message from her love, told her he waited in the starry sky above. Softly she closed her eyes and bade the angel go, and then the whole world echoed to his song. For straight down a moonbeam he come riding, out of the sky on a winged horse gliding, Healy-Oli-Yip-I-Oli-Yay. Healy-Oli-Yip-I-Oli-Yip-I-Oli-Yay. He brings a token to his love. Swift as the wind he goes, high in the hills he knows she's waiting, singing Healy-Oli-Yip-I-Oli-Yay. Healy-Oli-Yip-I-Oli-Yay.
And I bet you won't be able to get that one out of your mind for a week or two. And that was the song that Marty Robbins said inspired him to write El Paso. Now, in the Cowboy Poetry Spotlight, here's former Banff National Park head park warden Perry Jacobson.
The yellow light in the bunkhouse casts eerie shadows on the wall. The northeast breeze curls to chimney smoke, early signs signaling the coming fall. From a peg on a wall hangs a jacket, and a pair of old rosin-stained chaps. Under a faded Charlie Russell painting hangs a battered and sweat-stained hat. The wind-sculptured face of the old wrangler concentrates in tying the fight or knot. The adept and calloused hands work quietly. He seems to be in deep thought. He's back in time as a young cowboy, full of ideas and chasing his dreams. Horizon promised exciting opportunities. His head was full of visions and schemes. He smiles as he recalls friends and ranges and a sweetheart with long golden hair. They are all lost in the trail dust now. There's not many left who really care. His treasures are measured in memories. In some way he feels he's a rich man. No doubt his possessions should be greater, but then life doesn't always follow your plans. He can't help but think life is something like the tying of the hackamore knots. In the hands of a master develops a pattern. Hands of the foolhardy doesn't amount to a lot. It's hard to believe how the years slip by, then suddenly you're tired, old, and alone. He ponders the few squandered chances of setting roots and establishing a home. He stands up, shakes out the hackamore rig, shakes each knot to make sure they're pulled tight, pulls off his boots, lays down on his roll, yawns deeply, then turns off the light. Old Lobo's somewhere out in the draw. He sounds off with a mournful wail. The yellow light in the window fades to dark. The old wrangler's dreams are back out on the trail.
Well, thank you so much for riding along today, and I sure hope you can join us right here next week at the same time. And thanks again to our great support crew, Mark and Kathy McMillan, and be sure and check out Mark's page, bctractorparts.com, if you're looking for tractor parts, any make, any model, any year. And be sure to get your latest copy of Canadian Cowboy Country Magazine. You can subscribe online at cowboycountrymagazine.com. Till next week, I'm Hugh McLennan. Hope to see you down the trail somewhere real soon.